Yo, greetings, morning, grand rising, all of that beautiful stuff. Welcome back to another episode of Robust Frequency. Yeah, and just want to say, yeah, give thanks to the universe that we made it through. And a lot of people didn't make it. You know what I mean? A lot of people didn't wake up this morning. A lot of people didn't see the sun rise. So we give thanks for that. We got a cup of tea. We're sipping on some green tea. You get me? With some sea moss, ginger, lime, and some sorrel. So that's my concoction for my morning fast. And children, don't smoke, it's bad for you. But you don't know, we're adults, so we can do what we feel is necessary to get us through the day and keep us calm. Yeah. But children, don't smoke. But yeah, the title is it the government or parents to blame? And the reason why I put that title is it the government or children to blame, is referring to how the children are behaving today. And as per usual, with many other things, I hear adults always complaining that the children are unruly, they don't listen, they are destructive, you know, they're not like how we was when we was younger, and all these other reasons as to why these children are, dysfunctioned. So, personally, as someone that's got children myself, ranging from the age of in the 20s all the way down to very young, I've had time to analyze the difference between females and male because I have both genders, both sex children. So I've got to analyze from all different ages, as I said, from in their 20s down, the difference in female, male gender and age and environments as well. Because at different stages we've moved, we've gone to different areas. So we're around different environments, different people, different ways of how people deal with things and stuff. So all these things have an effect. And they're things that I've observed and can comment on. And then most importantly is you as a parent and the choices you make in your child's life. Do you have to speak more than once when you are referring to your child to do something? When you set a command, do you have to tell them twice, 3 times? Those are the beginning stages of a let's say disruptive, but those are the beginning traits of a child going down that path of not listening. And if it continues, can get to a point where he's not listening to you as a parent, he definitely is not going to listen to nobody else. So then that could be a road of disaster if not nipped in the bud from an early age. So this is basically the parents where I'm talking to the adults, the parents, even young parents, because there's a lot of young parents out there as well. So we're speaking to the old parents, we're speaking to the young parents to realize, or to kind of we're helping each other on ways to tackle disobedient children. So this is what we're dealing with right now. So I believe personally the best way would be obviously to nip it in the bud from the age of, from the time you see it. So if it's 2 years old, 3 years old, is that time that you need to put your foot down. So what do I mean by putting your foot down? I mean that when you see the child misbehaving, you address it straight away. You don't wait for the baby to do it 3, 4, 5 times and then you address it and then the child does it again. and you don't do anything. You speak to the child and tell them not to do it, but they do it again, and you keep threatening and warning with no action. Those behaviors the child picks up on, and after a period of time of you doing the same thing, threatening the child and not falling through with some form of punishment, then what happens is that child gets used to it, and test is a testing game, because that's all children are doing at the end of the day. While they're young, all they're doing with their parents is testing them to see how far they can push you before you break. And when I say break, I'm not talking about in a sense of, turning crazy, but they want to see how far they can go before, you get really upset. And then if you notice a child will keep doing that, like testing you, like they'll test you today, and they'll test you with the same thing they done yesterday tomorrow, and see how far they can go. And then they've worked it out. Okay, I know if I push mom to this, or dad to this certain point, I'm gonna get the chocolate, or I'm gonna get, the trainers, or depending on the age group, on what the child's crying for, or acting a nuisance for. So yeah, we've got to put boundaries. We've got to put boundaries in place for these children. We've got to take things away when they're behaving a certain type of way, and we tell them once. It's not twice, not three times, once. So once you tell your child not to do that, and they do it, then you might, obviously you're gonna give them a warning, like, listen, if that happens again, then this is a consequence. I'm gonna take away your PlayStation. Right? You're not going out. You're barred from going out for the week. You're grounded. Or, I'm gonna set out extra work for you. The time you finish. Well, I'm a homeschooler, so if you finish at 3:30, then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, extend the time, like a detention, for the rest of the week. So you put these boundaries, right? You deal with it like in a courthouse, because when you go to the courts, these people are strangers. They don't know you, but they'll punish you. Maybe for the first time you made a mistake in your life, you'll get a punishment. So if complete strangers can give you a punishment for maybe your first offense that you've ever committed, first crime, whatever you want to call it, and your child does something, and you're not teaching them or preparing them for what's to come. You know what I mean? You're kind of grooming them for that. We don't want to groom our children. We want to make sure that they're on point from a very young age. We want to teach them about boundaries. We want to teach them about, responsibilities, principles, morals. You know what I mean? We want them to remain honorable. So by the time they reach to a certain age, the last thing on their mind would be to be hanging out on the street corners, or, just getting mixed up, being in crowds that doesn't serve them no purpose. You feel me? So it starts with parents. It starts with you. It starts with the mother. It starts with the father. The balance. You need both parents. That's another big major problem within, the communities that the cities that I live in and happen to grow up in. This city, London City, for instance. And when I view the world, I see the same problems in different regions, different countries, different continents, different islands. I see the same thing. So it's a major problem, within our society, the children, and the things are being pointed at these children, but in all respect, as I said, it's the adults. The government's partly to blame, because they take away the restrictions, what the parents used to have. When I was younger, you do something wrong, mate, you're getting your ass beaten. There is no if, buts, and maybes. My dad could give me a look, and you see, when that brother give me a look to let me understand that's enough, that is just it. It's like I knew, like, or then man, they give a little sound, like, you get me, just to make my nose say, yo, brother, I'm watching you, do that again and see what happens. See what time it is. And I knew to myself, like, yo, fix up. Or my mum could do the, do you want me to phone your dad? And I remember I'll be like, Mum, please, Mum, don't phone, please, Mum, don't phone him, because I was terrified, because I knew if this guy gets called and I've done something wrong, peek for my ass, I'm gonna get what I hiding. You understand? Even though there's better ways of dealing with things, but that fear made me understand. He wore diamond socks, I wore normal socks. There was a level of, you know what I mean? I knew he was a grown. He wore boxer shorts, I wore brief. Do you understand? There was the levels. He had silk socks, linen or whatever they were, silk. I had normal, high tech Nike, Puma, them thick socks. You understand? My mum was wearing some slick. I used to like them, but I knew they weren't mine. Don't wear them. I think when I got a bit older, I might have tried teeth one and two, or borrow, should I say, borrow one and two, and things like that. When I got older, but these were the separations. These made me understand. Bedtime was a set time. Do you see what I'm saying to you? When I got my plate of food and I looked at Donny's plate of food, I knew, ah, big man plate. You get me? Little man plate. Levels. There was always levels and boundaries made me understand that big man, little man. And that's what we don't have today. You got these parents that behave with their children like they're buddies. So what happens is they're partying together, they're listening to the same music, they're sitting down smoking together, they're doing all these things together till the child believes that they're mates, because what they're doing with their parents is the same thing they do with their mates. So they become to have this buddy relationship, and then when you try to lay down authority because you might feel some form of disrespect or whatever the case may be, but you feel like your child's not listening, you try to put down the authority and the child doesn't listen, then you've got no one to blame but yourself, because you've actually put yourself in that predicament by allowing your child to be your best mate. You know what I mean? So we have to figure these ones out, and we have to help each other by, learning from mistakes that others have made, especially, if you're in a situation where you have children, so you've had these experiences, not just someone just telling you based upon, research and blah blah blah. It's good, but personal experience with the research is even better. Do you know what I mean? I've home birth twice. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've home birth twice. No nurses, no doctors, nobody involved, just me, the mother, and my children. They got to witness a beautiful thing. You know, didn't cut the umbilical cords. We let it drop off naturally. I've got all the photos. In due time, I'll put these things up and we discuss more into details on how I got to the point of even doing something like that. You know what I mean? And blessings and praises to the mother every time, because, that's just courage. You know what I mean? It's a lot of courage for the both of us to take it upon ourselves to say, look, fuck these doctors, fuck these nurses. I feel like we can do this. Do you know what I mean? All their books, all their literature's out there for us to learn it and how to perform, the necessary things that's to do in order to carry out such a task. It's, you know what I mean? Why not read it and learn it and do it? Isn't that what they done? So why not take matters into your own hand, and then we don't have to complain and blame. Like when I many years ago, sorry, many years ago, I took my children out of school. So I don't need to complain about the system and why the schools and this and why the schools is that. Now the only person I've got to look at is the man in the mirror. If there's any problems with regards to how my children are taught, or how they deal with people, how they speak to people, how they see people, now full responsibility I will take. Full responsibility the mother has to take. I cannot go around now and say, okay, or people can't point fingers. I mean, people can now, but I feel like if the child's going to school and they spend the majority of the time in school, and the child's also disrupted, sometimes it's not the parents, it's the school, it's the surrounding of the children when they go to school. Some of these children that go to school are so your child gets mixed up. It's another thing that I've seen myself personally experienced, and other people. They send their young children to school. The children were fine before going to nursery. Listened when you would, make a command, they would do as told. And then you send them to nursery, right? And within the space of a week, the child is like a demon child. Crying, screaming, rolling on the floor, doing all things that it never used to do, just because you've allowed the child to sit amongst strangers. Whereas had the child never done that, then this, what you now have to deal with, which you didn't have to before, because now you have to alter yourself into understanding why this child's doing it. And some parents ain't patient enough to look into these reasons why the child's doing it. They just think the child's being disruptive, so they might hit the child or shout and scream, because they don't realize that it's not even so much the child's fault. They're picking up, because that's what children are. They're sponges. They soak up all the information that's being put out there. So if they see a bunch of children behave in a certain way, and then they see the adults responding a certain way to the children based upon how the children are behaving, then they're going to be like, wow, this little girl, this little boy was screaming and banging their feet and throwing things around, and this adult ran to their attention and done everything that the baby was requesting just because she was screaming. So they look at these things and they pick it up and they go home, they take it back home with them. And some parents ain't prepared to deal with that, or not even educated enough to understand what's going on. So there's a lot of things that leads to one's children. But the overall, I believe, is just us as parents taking back full control and taking our children away from complete strangers. I mean, I say to people, they say to us all the time that you shouldn't have your children around strangers, but we take our children to complete strangers. And because they have a license, the piece of paper that says that, they're qualified to teach, they are not strangers no more, which to me is crazy. If you're a stranger, you're a stranger. Where does it change at? Like, once we meet and, I get to know you, spending a lot of time around you, not my child, me spending time around you, then you become my friend. I'm not going to allow you as an adult. I would never on a normal occasion allow an adult to be a friend with my young baby. Wouldn't do it. So why do we change that scenario because, they're going to school or whatever they're going to, because they hardly even learn when they go there. And the things that they need, how to do taxes, how to, build houses and mortgages that which is classed as, being, I suppose, on top of your game, so to speak, doing well in life, when you can acquire all these toys and gadgets and materialism, and you see me. So if that's the case, then we've got to make sure that we're putting things into the proper perspective for these children, and guidelines and principles for these children to follow. And if it's not, being around strangers and things like that, then schools and these care places, we got to really take into consideration, what are we doing? And again, the curriculum system, who's giving us this mindset that someone is telling us to have, whether it's one individual or whether it's a few of them collectively coming together and putting their ideas together for a purpose of teaching the rest of the world to have the same thoughts, to me is crazy. We can't have, if you say we're unique and, we're all individuals, right? Then you can't try to teach everybody the same one thing. It's crazy, because we're never going to pay attention. Everybody's got different ways, and, just genetically different code, DNA, right? So you can't teach everybody the same thing and think you're going to get the same results. It doesn't happen. But they do this all the time in schools to the young children, that go to these um strangers places, because it's a bunch of strangers in there, strangers that you go to. Your parents send you to a bunch of strangers to learn a bunch of stuff that people say you need to learn in order to survive. But I just feel like it's a bunch of shit, really. I feel like it's brainwashing. Do you get me? I feel like they've been doing it too long. I feel like parents need to take full control back of their children. And if you are sending them to school, that we've got 100% say with what goes on in those schools and how things are, addressed and conducted. It shouldn't be the government. It should be parents, because it's our children going there. And obviously, if the government's involved because they've got children, that might be going there, they're involved with us, not them making the rules and we're just accepting and allowing, because we do by consent, whether we silently say nothing, we agree. And if we agree, we agree. I don't see nobody fighting against the curriculum system or anything like that. You know what I mean? So this is what we got to do, brothers and sisters. People across the world, we got to take power, take responsibility back into our own hands. And it starts with your children. It starts with your children, giving them responsibilities, showing them how to cook. My 7-year-old can go in the kitchen and whip up. 7 years old. Yeah. Go in the kitchen, toast, cup of tea. You know what I mean? I could be sick today, lying on my bed sick, and I could trust my 7-year-old to go and prepare something for me and her sisters and brothers. And that's a 7-year-old, and I'm aiming for the younger one to do the same thing too. She's in the process of, you know what I mean? When I'm cooking, she's in there. Get your hands dirty, young one. Give her a plastic knife and I lower everything to her height, and she can chop up her cucumbers and she can chop up her tomatoes. Get her used to the idea of defending for yourself. You don't need people. You know how to read, right? Well, I'm going to teach you how to read, all the information you need, to figure out the body parts and how the body functions. When I put this in my mouth, the actions, the reactions, figuring out solutions rather than adding to the problem like most people. That's what I teach my children, because if I send them to school, then they wouldn't think like that. You know what I mean? Think of solutions. These people always want to tell you the problem, and they want you to add to it by complaining about it, but no one seems to have the solution. So I changed that narrative. Oh, we could do this and make that better. That's what I hear my children say. Oh, we could do that and that will make it better. Not, oh yeah, that's really bad and it's gonna get worse. So it's just made negative and adding to it. It's not that. But I've gone 23 minutes. I could go on forever. As I said, I was trying to get used to the idea of speaking. And yeah, sooner or later we get friends and people on. But it's the thing of me carrying a laptop. I'm not really one to be up and down with gadgets and stuff. I'm really private, so I just feel like I'm being watched. Well, I am. I'm being followed even more so when I've got this around me. So, but we're going to, because obviously at the end of the day, all I want to do is I just want to build with the brothers and sisters. I want to build. I want like-minded people to attach themselves. You get me? So we can connect and we can take it to another level, because I really do believe and I really do will greatness, and I see it. I feel the change. You get me? I'm an Aquarius, and we're in the age of Aquarius. You know what I mean? It's a new time, and I believe that with knowledge and understanding, you can achieve whatever it is you're trying to achieve in a positive way as well. We don't have to take the negative channel and walk the path of this system that they've created. In order for you to become something, you have to go through a lot of you understand? So we're not going to take that road. We are going to take the positive road, the positive frequency, you understand? And we're going to make sure that it's robust, unbreakable, unchangeable. And if it is changing, it's changing for better, it's changing for higher. Yeah, so that's where we're going to keep it. Listen, I hope you're going to enjoy your day, or I hope you enjoy your day, sorry. I'm wishing you all the best. I'm wishing you peace. I'm wishing you love. I'm wishing you light. Keep studying, keep researching. Do you understand? So when they come to you with their foolishness, you're prepared to slap them in their head with knowledge. Their books. It's their words, their books. You know what I mean? It's their narrative, their literature, their ideology. You've read it. So when they're trying to tell you something that sometimes they misquote, you shut them up. No, I didn't say that. This is what it said. No, I didn't mean that. This is what it meant. Oh, is it? I've done that. Did you do it, or did you read about it? Okay. I've stood in the court and represent myself. Did you do that? Okay, you called upon the solicitor to represent for you, right? Because you didn't know the case, right? And you didn't take the time to even understand some of the words or what the case was really about, or in what was involved. What could you have done without this solicitor to try and better your situation, your circumstances? Well, if you haven't, then allow the people that have to speak. I mean, simple as that. Like, I've done a lot of things, as I said to you, mate. I've done a lot of things in my lifetime. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna share for the purpose of helping someone not to walk down that path and to better themselves before it gets too late. You know what I mean? Because you can really, it's never too late, really. I mean, you can always flip it, always change it. 50, 60, you can always flip it. Most of these millionaires, billionaires that you see now became that at 50 and more. So never get confused. Don't let no one that's younger than you feel like, make you feel like, you can't achieve and you can't become. No, you can. Yeah, you can. You just gotta put in that time. You just gotta waste time on valuable minutes. So if you're wasting it, it's valuable wasting. Do you understand? You're not just idling on a corner doing nothing. If you're wasting time, right, to me, which is not wasting time, read. Read a book, pick up a book and read it. Make sure you're getting something sensible. Pick up a book, maybe around a millionaire or a billionaire, someone like of that, that structure, someone that is rich, that has power. Start off there. Start off with the Rothschild, the Rockefellers. Do you understand? Like, read about these people and get to understand how these people even became. Get to find out about their associates, the people that they hang about, what they were doing to figure it out of the trap. Some of them were lucky and just, were handed down by parents, but some of them actually had to grind to get it. You know what I mean? And enough of them weren't 100% intelligent. Their education levels was low, but they figured it out. They figured it out. You know what I mean? So don't ever underestimate yourself or even others. Anything's achievable. Anything's possible. You know what I mean? So anyway, I'm going to leave you with that. I've done nearly half an hour, which I was only expecting to do like 10, 15 minutes. But you don't know, love is love. And when you love the people, you go extra hard. So I'm going to end it with that. And again, I'm going to send that nothing but love and light to the brothers and sisters. Please subscribe, share. Was it the notification bell? Use it, press it. So anytime I'm on, you guys can, join in, interact, and comment. Say something. I want to do a live call-in, so you look can call in, ask questions. You get me, about relationships, about males, about females. These are the things that I want to interact in. I want people to ask questions that, certain things they may be going through in their life, and maybe I can help with a different narrative to what you're used to. You know what I mean? I might be able to give you more than one opinion than the average person's used to giving just one. You see me? Or I might be able to, you know, bring someone else in to help. So based upon what I know and they know, you get a whole heap of different narratives on how you could solve or achieve or break. You understand? Because you might want to break up with someone, you might want to get closer to someone. It could be whatever. But we're just showing you that we're open minded and you know we are. That's what we're here for. You know what I mean? That's what we're here for. And along the journey, it will be nice to know if we can build something collectively. You know, that would be the end goal. But we'll talk about that as time draws more closer to those periods. We'll talk about it. You see me? But let me come off now. Peace, love, one. We out.